Hello students, welcome back to JCE Connect. So in previous class we have solved work done and efficiency of a Pelton wheel, and what is the equation to calculate work done and efficiency of a Pelton wheel. We have solved by drawing a velocity triangle, and we have derived equation also, that is for force exerting by the jet on a Pelton wheel bucket, then work done by the jet, then the efficiency, and for the maximum efficiency. This all we have calculated in previous class. So in this particular session I'll be discussing about the design parameters and working proportions of a Pelton wheel. Means if we want to obtain an optimum efficiency, and what could be the number of buckets, what could be the diameter of the runner or a disc, and what is the actual velocity, and how many number of jets are required. These all things we need to calculate for getting the optimum efficiency. So that is the design parameters and working proportions of a Pelton wheel. So for that, the first thing is we need to we have to calculate the power from the turbine shaft. To calculate the power from the turbine shaft, so this is the formula generally we use, that is a P is equal to gamma W into Q into H into overall efficiency, where gamma W is the specific weight of the water and Q is the discharge and H is the head available and gamma O is the overall efficiency. So from this we get the power from the turbine shaft. Then actual velocity of the jet is slightly less due to frictional loss in the nozzle and is given by V1 equal to CV into root of 2GH, because we know the theoretical velocity, that is root of 2GH, but actual velocity as water is flowing through a penstock, because of the frictional losses the velocity decreases, and based on that the actual velocity can be given as CV into root of 2GH, where CV represents the coefficient of velocity. Generally it is to be taken 0.97 to 0.99. Then as we know and we have derived in previous class, the maximum efficiency of the Pelton wheel can be obtained when the wheel or the bucket velocity is half the jet velocity. This we have proved in while doing the derivation. So U equal to V1 by 2 for maximum efficiency. Then the velocity of wheel is written as U equal to KU root of 2GH, where KU represents the speed ratio, and the speed ratio theoretically we have obtained 0.5, but it is generally 0.43 to 0.47 because of some losses occurred in the passage of the bucket. Hence the speed ratio can be taken 0.43 to 0.47. This is another working proportion. Then the next third one is the total discharge through the Pelton wheel must be equal to the discharge through the number of jets. If suppose the turbine is been running by providing a number of jets, if we want to calculate the total discharge, then the total discharge through the Pelton wheel must be equal to the discharge through the number of jets provided. So Q equal to N into pi by 4 d square into V, that is A into V, where N is the number of jets. Means if this is the Pelton wheel and these are the buckets provided, and suppose this is a main pipe, if the jets are provided here, this is one jet, and through the same pipe if the another jet is striking like this, if the multiple jets are been provided to generate the power, and then the total discharge is equal to the number of jets provided. Okay, Then the next, the mean diameter of the Pelton wheel D, the mean diameter of the Pelton wheel D, that means the wheel diameter, this one. This is the wheel, the mean diameter of the Pelton wheel. The mean diameter of the Pelton wheel D measured up to the center of the buckets, and as we know the wheel speed, that is pi dn by 60. This is a formula to use to calculate the wheel velocity, that is u equal to pi dn by 60. Then from this we can get easily the diameter, or we can call it as a pitch circle diameter, 60 into u divided by pi n. The mean diameter D is also known as pitch diameter. Then next parameter to be calculated, the jet ratio is defined as the ratio of diameter of runner, the ratio of diameter of runner to the jet diameter. This one, this is the jet ratio. Then the jet ratio, for jet ratio, m is the symbol using, that is the ratio between the runner diameter and the jet diameter. And generally the jet ratio will be lying for optimum number of jet ratio should be between 11 to 15. To get a maximum efficiency, generally it is lying between 11 and 15. This is the jet ratio. The jet ratio means the diameter of runner, the ratio of diameter of runner to the diameter of jet. Then the next parameter, the number of jets in a Pelton wheel, means optimum number of jets required to generate maximum efficiency. Okay, so number of jets in a Pelton wheel, normally one, but to increase the power generation, more number of nozzles are provided and maximum up to 4. Generally the one jet will be providing. If we want to increase the power generation, then more number of nozzles are being provided, so maximum number of jets will be up to 4. Then the next working proportion, that is the working proportions of the turbine buckets are generally in terms of jet diameter. The working proportions of the turbine buckets are generally in terms of jet diameter D. Then, as you know, this is the plan of the bucket, and this is the stem which is to be connected to the runner of the Pelton wheel, and this is the plan, and this is the central part, that is called the splitter, and this is the curved shape of the bucket, and this is the groove which has been cut at the bottom of the bucket, and the jet will come and hit at this place and the water get splits. Okay, then this B, whatever B is here is marked, it is called axial width, and in this direction whatever the length is measuring, it is called radial width, radial. Okay, this is the groove width, this is the axial width, and this is the radial width. So now in here I have taken, this is the axial width, this is the groove width, this is the radial width, and this is the depth of the bucket. The shape of the bucket I have already shown in the previous lecture, the plan as well as the cross section of the bucket. When you join two spoons together, whatever the shape you get after joining the two spoons, so that is the picture of bucket, Pelton wheel bucket. So we need to proportion these all lengths, that is axial width, groove width, and the radial width and depth of the bucket. So generally the axial width B can be taken which is expressing in terms of jet diameter. Generally it is to be taken axial width 3 times of diameter of jet to 4 times of diameter of jet. Okay, axial width for a smooth operation. So this is the axial width dimension, that is 3 times of diameter of jet to the 4 times of diameter of jet. Then the radial length to be taken, that is A, 2D to 3D, radial length. Okay, the depth of the bucket, it is to be taken 0.8 times of D to 1.2 times of D. So all are expressing in terms of diameter of jet. And one more is this one, groove length, that is groove, that is E equal to, it is to be taken between 1.1 times of D to 1.25 times of D. And also this is 1.1 times of D to 1.2 times of D. The number of buckets on a periphery is decided. Number of buckets on the periphery is decided mainly on the two principles. Means whatever the number of buckets providing on the wheel of the Pelton wheel, these buckets, number of buckets. Okay. So the number of buckets on a periphery is decided mainly on the two principles. The first one is the number of buckets should be as few as possible so that there is a little loss due to friction. Okay. So the number of buckets should be optimum number, and the number of buckets are being deciding based on the losses occurring. So that's why it has been given the number of buckets should be as few as possible so that there is a little loss due to friction. And one more principle is the jet of water must be fully utilized. Whatever the jet coming and hitting the buckets of the Pelton wheel, that jet should be completely utilized by the buckets provided on the wheel of the Pelton wheel. So the jet of water must be fully utilized so that no water from the jet goes waste. Okay. So means none of the buckets should miss the jet. So all should get utilized, the whatever the water is coming through the penstock and through the nozzle, that should be utilized completely. That's why it is given the principle as the jet of water must be fully utilized so that no water from the jet goes waste, that is no water escapes without striking the buckets. Means all whatever the jet is coming and hitting the bucket, all should receive the jet. Okay. So based on these two principles, the optimum number of buckets are given on the Pelton wheel. This is the Pelton wheel. These optimum numbers, how many numbers to be provided? Okay, so jet coming and hitting. Okay, then the optimum number of buckets should be given, that is Z is equal to 0.5 times of M plus 50. 0.5 times of M plus 15. Okay, so by using this one we can get the optimum number of buckets. Okay, so that these two principles can be satisfied. That is, the first principle is the number of buckets should be as few as possible so that there is a little loss due to friction. Then the second is the jet of water must be fully utilized so that no water from the jet goes waste, that is no water escapes without striking the buckets. Okay, and remember this formula, that is Z equal to 0.5 M plus 15 to calculate the number of buckets. I hope you understood these working proportions, and then next class I will be solving a problem that is on a velocity triangle as well as the design problems. I hope you understood these things. One numerical problem, that to analysis problem on Pelton wheel. Let us take a problem, that is a Pelton wheel is receiving a water from a penstock with a gross head of 5-10 meter. Then 1/3 of the gross head is lost in friction in the penstock. Then the rate of flow through the nozzle fitted at the end of the penstock is 2.2 meter cube per second. The angle of deflection of jet is 165 degree Determine the first one, the power given by the water to the runner. Second, the hydraulic efficiency of the Pelton wheel. Take the coefficient of velocity as 1 and the speed ratio as 0.45. So this is the problem given. Here, the first we need to write the given datas. The datas given here are gross head of the Pelton wheel is given, that is 510 meter. Head lost in friction, that is HF is 1/3 of the gross head, that is to be lost in friction, that is 170 meter. Then the net head available at the inlet of the turbine is, that is a gross head minus the loss 340 meter. And the discharge is also given 2.2 meter cube per second. Then the angle of deflection 165 degree, means after hitting the jet into the blade, then it will deflect by an angle of 165 degree. Then the angle pi will be, that is the vane angle at inlet will be pi equal to 180 minus 165, that is 15 degree. Then the coefficient of velocity as 1, that is given. Then the speed ratio is Ku is 0.45. Okay, so these are the given datas. So what is been given here, see in this one, in this figure, the given the gross head of the water. Okay, the gross head of the water is been given, that is 510 meter. Then before supplying water into the penstock, the head available in reservoir was 510 meter. As the water starts flowing through the penstock, so there will be a loss because of the friction in the pipe. Because of the loss, you will get the friction loss, that is HF. So that is friction loss, HF. Then the net head available at the inlet of the turbine, this one, the net head available will be Hg minus HF. Then how much this HF to be taken, they are given in the problem. This HF, that is loss due to friction, will be 1/3 of the gross head. Okay, I hope you understood this one. Then the angle after passing water to the blades, then the angle of deflection will be 165 degree. So this is the velocity triangle you have to draw first. This is the cross section of the blade. The blade will be like this, and this is the splitter. This will be the splitter, and the water is coming and hitting this splitter, and the inlet velocity triangle will be straight line, and you have to mark all the components of the velocity, that is a velocity of the vane u1, this is the relative velocity of the jet with respect to the bucket, and the jet velocity is equal to the whirl velocity, and at inlet there will not be any flow velocity, and the bucket will be moving in this direction. So this represents the inlet velocity triangle. Once the jet strikes, the water will be gliding over the surface of the bucket like this, then it exits. Then the angle of deflection can be represented as 165 degree. It is given in. So total angle is 180. 180 minus 165 gives you pi, that is the angle at outlet of the vane. Vane angle at outlet will be pi, that is 15 degree. Then you have to draw this outlet velocity triangle. This represents the relative velocity. Then draw the jet velocity, absolute, that is absolute velocity. Then the beta will be acute. Then mark this u2, that is velocity of vane at outlet. Then this is a vw2, whirl velocity at outlet. Then this is a vf2. So mark everything at outlet tip of the bucket. This triangle represents the outlet velocity triangle. So with this outlet velocity, with this velocity triangle, now we need to calculate the force exerting by the jet on the bucket. So the power given by the water to the runner. So we need to calculate this one. So to calculate the power given by the water to the runner, first we need to calculate what is the velocity of the jet. The velocity of jet is given as v1 equal to cv root of 2gh. So this is the actual velocity of the jet which is acting on the bucket. that is CV root of 2gh, where CV is the coefficient of velocity that is given 1, then the velocity we get 81.67 meter per second. Then after this, the velocity of wheel, that is u equal to ku into root of 2gh, where ku is 0.45. that is also mentioned in the problem. We have to take the speed ratio, but it's 0.45, then the velocity of the wheel will be this much, 36.75 meter per second. Substitute all the values, that is velocity of, that is a g and h, all you substitute. The h is the net head available at the inlet of the turbine, then finally we get 36.75 meter per second. Then referring to the velocity triangle, you have to calculate the relative velocity VR1. VR1 will, because we know this u, then VR1 will be V1 minus U1. Then you have to calculate that VR1. So referring to the figure, that VR1 will be V1 minus U1. So we get 44.92 meter per second, because U1 equal to U2 equal to U. Also you have to calculate VW1. So VW1 is equal to V1, 81.67 meter per second. Then also from the outlet velocity triangle, we have VR2 equal to VR1. From the outlet velocity triangle, this VR2 is equal to VR1. Since they are not mentioned any losses in the passage of the bucket, so we have to assume VR1 is equal to VR2. Means we are assuming this passage, that is the blade passage, is very smooth. There is no any frictional losses. So VR1 is equal to VR2. Therefore VR1 is equal to VR2 is equal to 44.92 meter per second. Then finally VW2 to be calculated. Again referring to the velocity triangle at outlet, VW2 will be, that is this one. This is VR2 cos pi. This whole, this is VR2 cos pi. That is the component of VR2. This one horizontal component of VR2. Then VR2 minus U2 gives you VW2. That is VR2 cos pi. VR2 cos pi minus U2 gives you VW2. This is VW2. That is velocity of whirl at outlet will be 6.64 meter per second. Then the work done by the jet on the run per second. The work done per second will be what? So rho q. This formula we know, rho q into bracket VW1 plus VW2 into U. This is the force exerting by the jet, force into velocity of the bucket will gives you work done per second. You have to remember this formula. Okay, actually this is q equal to A into V, then this is mass per second, then VW1 plus VW2 into U. Substitute the values of rho, that is 1000, then q is 2.2 given, then VW1 calculated, VW2 also calculated, phi plus because the beta is acute angle at outlet velocity triangle, then velocity of the bucket, then finally we get this much. Then the power given by water to the runner, so just to divide it by 1000, we get 7139.863 kilowatt. Okay, that is Newton meter will be the joule per second gives you, joule per second is watt, that is kilowatt. Then after this, hydraulic efficiency also you have to calculate. Hydraulic efficiency. So hydraulic efficiency you have to calculate hydraulic efficiency of the Pelton wheel. That is, this is the formula to be used. Hydraulic efficiency, this one, 2 times of VW1 plus VW2 into U divided by V1 square. Then you will be getting this much is efficient. I hope you understood this one. This is the work done per second, that is then the velocity of jet, or else hydraulic efficiency you may calculate. Hydraulic efficiency, that is work done per second divided by kinetic energy per second. Calculate separately work done per second, kinetic energy per second. When you substitute these two values, you will get this equation in derivation. You know this formula, then substitute all the values here, then you will be getting hydraulic efficiency. Okay, so remember this formula, 2 times of VW1 plus VW2 into U divided by V1 square. So why V1 square? because kinetic energy per second will be half mv square. That is, we get kinetic energy per unit weight of water. Then when you substitute that one, we get v1 square by 2. Then the 2 goes in the numerator. Then we get this equation. Then we get 97.3%. Okay, we'll continue next class. One more problem. Thank you.